Hi, Onshapers. Uh, Today, I want us to discuss how we can use configurations in Onshape to have different sizes of this tool. I will share the link for this tool for you to try. This tool has this is the first dimension. You can see the seat sketch here. This is the height. This the width of my tool, and let me go shift 7 symmetric. This is the depth. This seat defines the depth, which is 14, which is 12. I want to vary this height of 20, this 14 width, and I will vary the depth. And I want to use configurations in both scenarios and have a short and a tall. I want a short and a tall tool. Therefore, you select the configuration panel. There are three types of configurations here. You have a list, checkbox, and variable. These are very powerful tool to use. Let me start with a list for this video. Select list. List is where now you list down various types of configurations you need. I need the default one. I need first one to be short tool, that is 10 by 12. I need another one that is a short tool, that is 12 by 14. Then I need tall of 10 by 12, and I need last is tall of 12 by 14. The tall means the height. We want to configure this height as a tall. Okay, therefore next step, you select, you can rename, you have to rename your configuration here. Two ways of renaming. You can just click here and write what you want, or just click here, then select rename and put size. As you can see, there's this drop down that is formed. You have short 10, 12, tall 10, and 12 respectively. Then we need now to configure the variables, the dimensions. Configure features. You select the seat. You can select front. Then we need to configure this 20 and 14. You can see now you have selected this length on the seat sketch. This is a sketch name. We are using 20. Two lengths are used, that is this length and this one. But you see now this one is a height and this one is a width, but both are described as a length. Sometimes you need a name that is a little bit descriptive. Therefore, now for me to do that, I'll prefer using, let me use a variable here and call it height, that is a tool height, like that, and let me use 20 like that. Then go to the pull it up again, another variable for the width, tool width of 14, and pull it up like that. You have two variables now. Then the sketch, I want now to use, instead of using a value, I want to use a variable, so that on our configuration table we can have a more descriptive names. Therefore, on this one now, you can't now edit. After configuring the sketch, you can't edit. What you do now, right click and configure, right click, you want to configure dimension. You can see now the column gets deleted. You can double click this and select now this one to be stool width, this one to be stool height, like that. If you change any value here, this will change. Now we can go back. Instead of configuring that dimension, now you configure this value. The same case applies here. This value is say done. You can see now you have a stool height value is 20, stool width value is 14. This is better because now it is more descriptive. Okay. Still, I need to configure this depth. I want to configure depth. How can I do that? This is the seat. You can always edit. On this depth, you right click and say you configure. You can see directly the depth here. The depth here is indicated. If you want to use a variable, you can still do the same thing here. But for now, I will just use default. Okay. Didn't okay. Go back again. Edit. It is already configured. Okay. For us not to display, let me expand this a little bit so that we can be able to display all all variables here, all the list variables here for the configuration. Next step is now you need not to change. Remember this height is for the short needs. The short one is for the height. The 10 one is for the width. No, the 10 one is for the depth, and for this last value is for the width. Okay, therefore I can, for the short, I need to have a 16. I need a 16 and a 16, such that a short stool will be 16 in height, but tall will be 20 in height. Okay, next is we need to define the first value of length. This is the width, that is 14. I need 12 and 14. The last one here, the last value here, I need to use 14 and 12 there as well. My first one will be 12. This is 12 here. For ease of understanding, we might maybe start by depth first, then width later. Therefore, this one should be 14, 14, 12 again, and this one should be 14. That's fine. Then 10, 12, 10, 12. The same case applies. 10, 12, 10, 12. I can interchange this one to be, instead of to be 12 by 10, that's better. To be 14 by 12, 14 by 12, 12 by 10, 12 by 10, and 14 by 12 here. 14 by 12. Therefore, short to be 16, tall to be 20. 12 is the width by depth of 10, or 14 by 12. As you can see now, this blue means it is the current configuration. If you want to switch from one to the next, just right click this one and switch to 14 by 12. Becomes blue, the dimension changes. Or you can use here. Now I can change here. If you change to tall 14 by 12, these values, if you go to sketch, if you maybe edit sketch, you can see this is 20 by 14. If you change here, this changes because now I'm using short 12 by 10, 12 by 10, that is 16, 16 by 12 by 12. You can have a family of one part in 10 different sizes. Okay, next thing I need to configure the position of these supports. I want to configure those positions. How can you do that? You just go to the top support here. You can select edit. You can select edit or anytime like that. Then this value, just right click this value, configure dimension. That's another way you can configure value. Okay. Same case to the lower support. You can still use configure feature here. Select lower support, configure features, lower support sketch, then this one here. Those are two ways you can configure your sketch. You can use edit, you select the value, or just use delete. Then I want to change all of them to be 10, 12, 10, 12. For the short to be 10, and for the 10 I want to be 10, 12. This one to be 10 and 10, because for the short one I want the top support. You see now the top support here, it is changing the position here. This top support 10, 10, 12, 12. Same thing here. I want 8 and 8. This support is changing. If I use the first short 12 by 10, if I change this value maybe to 1 inch, you see what will happen. You can see this the dimension for the top support. If you edit the sketch normal F to fit, this dimension is 1. If I go to the next one, becomes 12. If I go to 14 by 12, becomes 12. Therefore, this one is a very powerful tool to have a different variations of your design. Okay, therefore you can now have shift 7 for isometric. You can now display various families of various types of configurations to the client. You can add more. The list is endless. In my next video, I will illustrate how to use checkbox and how to use a variable. Thank you.